What's up, guys? Adam here with Northern Colorado Adventures for another episode, and I'm talking today about bike ergonomics. So we've talked about motorcycles. That's a huge part of what we do up here in the Northern Range. Another big part is the other two wheels, road bikes and mountain bikes. So for me, I've recently invested more in my mountain biking hobby and transitioned a little bit away from road bikes for a while. And one of the important things to consider is comfort, right? We're out on the trail. Up here, people can ride for hours endlessly on trails out into some pretty amazing areas that are pretty much world-class, in my opinion. There's multiple terrains, there's multiple experiences, there's different altitude changes, routes, rocks, smooth, open, fast, flowy stuff. There's endless riding. And one of the important things is ergonomics, okay? So we need to start thinking about how can we get maximum comfort out of these long range rides when we're in the Northern Range. And so one of the things I'm gonna do today is talk about kind of what I think I'm gonna do with my setup. So I ride a Trek Fuel EX8. It's got the factory bars. We're gonna take a look at it in a second. And we're gonna take a look at some of the things that I've worked out with my local mountain bike shop. I encourage everyone to try to stick with the local shops. We can get hard to find parts on the internet, but it's also very helpful to support local businesses at these difficult times that we find ourselves in. So what I would say is, without further ado, let's take a look at the current setup and I'll explain kind of the ergonomics. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is as I'm on the bike, if this is my back, right, we want to eliminate the hunch. We want to keep the shoulders from riding up as we're going down the road. This counts in motorcycles as well. People in the motorcycle crowd know what I'm talking about. But for those of us who are also on trails on mountain bikes or on the road with road bicycles, same physics and engineering applies. So consider a different position where we're maybe a little more upright and elbows slightly bent. Relax the shoulders, longer riding, less knots, less trouble in the low back, these kinds of things. So let's take a look at what the Trek factory bars and setup is, and then we'll take a look at what I've come up with. And I'd love to hear what you've come up with. So drop a comment below. Okay, here is the Trek bike that I ride on the trails here near the house and also kind of through the Fort Collins area. And one of the things I want to call attention to that we're going to work on today is headset. So this is the headset. These are handlebars, grips, right? Shifters and brakes. And what we're going to look at is this, in particular, this stem. So you'll notice that this stem is about one knuckle, really, this last knuckle on my index finger. You measure it from the center of the, this post here to the center of the, where it actually clamps over the bar. So it looks like it's about, for me, 2 knuckles. So let's call that 2 inches for argument's sake. And then this is probably approximately 60 millimeters, maybe 70, this distance. So this is when we're out in front of the bike, this is being further out in front. The closer we bring this to the post, the more upright we are going to be on the bike. The bar is a Bontrager manufactured bar, and you can kind of see that it comes straight out and has a small bend back towards the rider. What's interesting about that is this is called, the distance this comes back towards you is called sweep. So by changing the distance in the stem to a shorter distance and changing the sweep for a little more bend, we can bring this closer, and closer could equal a better angle on your low back. You can also get bars that have almost a small U shape to them and come up and bend back, which is what we're going to look at in a minute. And so that is called rise. And this is the equivalent of putting risers on a motorcycle. You get bars that come out and come up and back towards the rider. So if we're able to combine these 3 things, bringing this closer, bringing these up, and bringing these closer to me even, that's an inch back and an inch up. is what I'm currently going to attempt to do with some aftermarket parts that I bought for less than $85. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, y'all, here is the setup that we're going to put together for the new headset on the Trek bike. So this is about a 1-inch riser bar, comes up an inch, and notice the sweep on this bar. So it comes up. If you roll these forward on your bike, you can actually raise the handles up closer, more upright position, and you still get some of this bend coming back towards the rider. Okay, just for a frame of reference, I went ahead and took some bars off another hybrid bike that I own, and you can see the difference in the bend, right? So if we're sitting in the same spot on the bike, on the lower bars here, look at the difference in the bend on the bar below versus the bar on top. This is the factory position on top of most mountain bikes, and most aftermarket bars will have better sweep. You can get sweep with a 25-degree sweep where the bar kind of comes out to here, even closer, almost like a cruiser bike. But then you have to think about control and agility for something that might be riding on trails or tight corners on sandy dirt, right? So again, shortening this stem, bringing this up, notice the height of this bar. Okay, once we put the stem on this guy, he's going to sit up about the same height. But now look what happens when I'm able to spin this bar forward, right? This thing can raise the hand grips closer to the rider. And remember, I'm going to be this much closer. So you can kind of get an idea of how this will help ergonomics. Closer, taller, and swept back towards the rider. Let's see what that looks like assembled before we put it on the bike. These are the additional parts. So we talked about the bar, which is a race face bar, 700 millimeters long. Okay, they're measured metrically. So 700 millimeters long. It's got a 1-inch rise. It's a 31.8 tube. You can buy a 35 millimeter tube or a 31.8 millimeter tube, which is going to be a little thinner. And there's a lot of debate online, and I'll let you guys surf that a little bit about what's better for riding, 35 or 31.8, in terms of how much vibration come through these handlebars and what the skinnier bars are beneficial for and what the wider diameter bar is beneficial for. I may post a link below in the information section. This is the stem, so you'll notice here it even gives you the ratings. It tells you the torque ratings in terms of how to torque down these hex bolts, but it also tells you the estimated length. It even gives you a little bit of rise of 3 degrees. So this itself gives you a tiny bit of rise in addition to the bars. It's 40 millimeters long versus the 60 to 70. Here we have the ergo locks. I really like these ergonomic grips. I think everyone should move this direction, no matter what your setup is or how old or young you are. It's just wonderful. So when these sit on the handlebar, you can kind of get a sense of your palm, right? That nice thick part of your hand is going to rest right on the corner of this, right? So that's kind of nice because the ergonomics of that helps prevent numbness and tingling in the fingers as you're riding down the mountain, as you're leaning forward, right? And it's a comfortable riding position. These are locking screw top caps that go in the end of the bar, just to kind of lock these grips in place. Let's take a look at what it looks like. right, so this is one of my favorite local rides, the Maxwell Natural Area. You can see the A on the mountain. It stands for the Aggies. That was the original mascot of the old Colorado State, Colorado A&M back then, 100 plus years ago. So this is kind of nice because we're going to get a sample of climbing, switchbacks, some chunky stuff, and then some flowy speed stuff, and we'll test out the new ergonomics. Alright, so right away I can tell, chugging up the hill, this feels good to me with these fattened palm side pieces of the grips, these bubbled ends that bubble back towards the rider, feel good. Underneath the grip, they kind of scooped out the underhand part of the handlebar grip so that your fingers can dig in and pull the bars towards you while you're climbing. So I would give that, so far, so good. Okay. And now, the downhill. So I'll tilt this up a little, give you guys a better view. We're gonna do what we just did in reverse and hit some fast flowy stuff. There's gonna be turns here. So far so good. I can kind of feel that the climbing was probably 20% easier. Same grade obviously, but my shoulders feel great. My elbows were way more relaxed, so I like that. So there we go. Corners real well. Love the effect. Yep. Remember, folks, uphill always has the right of way. Oh yeah. I also don't feel as much translation of the bumps and the bars at a 31.8 versus a 35mm tube on the handlebar, so less vibey handlebars with this new setup. More agile, 40mm shorter handlebar. Doesn't feel like I'm steering a school bus. Alright guys, this will be our last stop for today. This is new bar setup, downhill fast and flowy. Here we go. Sorry about that, but yeah, very responsive. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Lots of control. Hello, Mr. Brown Squirrel. Okay guys, that does it for this episode of Northern Colorado Adventures. I'm Adam. I appreciate you being here today. I hope this was helpful. Enjoy the ride. Your back will enjoy the ride. Your shoulders will enjoy the ride. I kind of feel like I don't need to unroll my shoulders, which is new to me, and that feels really good. So be safe out there, and I'll see you on the trail. Have a great day.